Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Best You Expo. This is Getrude Matshe here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand, and it is an absolute honor to be presenting with you today with all of my colleagues who are coming in from all over the world. My presentation today is called the Ubuntu Prophecies. I want to share my journey in film as an independent filmmaker, how I started on this journey and where it's taking me now. They come in dreams, my promptings, beautiful little threads, ideas that percolate while I'm asleep. And the Ubuntu Prophecies came in a dream 2 weeks before I launched my first book. I remember realizing that I had an opportunity to put my story out into the world. The dream was of my funeral, and I was standing at my graveside, and somebody was reading my eulogy and saying everything I was going to achieve in this life until I died in 2067 at the age of 100. In the dream, they said that I was going to create a foundation with the proceeds of my first book. I was going to sponsor thousands of children to get to go to school who had been affected by the AIDS pandemic back home in Zimbabwe. In the dream, they talked about my writing a movie script that was going to win 8 Oscars. I was going to write it, direct it, produce it, act in it. I was the next Rocky. And it felt so good when I woke up that morning. I wrote it down as the last chapter of my first book. My ex-husband Barton thought I was absolutely crazy. When the book was published, a lot of people would read my book and they would write to me and say, "Are you still alive? Are you dead? What does this mean?" And I had to constantly explain that it was a prophecy. It was something I had been given through a dream. And the thing about this dream is that I could smell, I could touch, I could taste. All my senses were alive. And I've only ever had 2 or 3 of these kind of dreams before. And whenever they happen, I know that it's going to come true. So I held true to that, and magical, magical things happen. So let me go back to the beginning of my life as a storyteller and explain why I'm so passionate about storytelling. When I was 19 years old, I went to visit my grandmother, and World Health flew into our village in a helicopter, and they were dropping flyers and condoms as an AIDS awareness campaign to a population of people who could not read. I watched as the adults ran and catched the papers and started reading the cartoon characters and laughing. I watched the kids opening up the condoms, blowing them up, and running around the village with balloons. And it was ridiculous. They were trying to spread knowledge about the AIDS virus, but in a very ineffective way to a population of people who could not read. So I wrote to World Health. I was 19 years old, and I told them that their campaign had been totally ineffective. And I asked them to sponsor me to write a play about HIV. And we would go and perform this play in all of the villages and then run workshops in the vernacular languages, conscientizing our community about the spread of the AIDS virus. And that was when the activist in me was born. I decided to use storytelling to empower people in my community. I created an all-women's theater group called Just for Women Theater, and it was one of the most amazing and most fascinating times of my life. I then left Zimbabwe and went to the UK to pursue my career in business. I wanted to get a business studies degree, and I abandoned all of my acting and put that aside for a while. When I got to the UK, I had an experience when I was still in Zimbabwe, again in film, when they filmed a movie called Cry Freedom. Denzel Washington was the main actor, and I had a small walk-on, walk-off part in Cry Freedom. I got to know Denzel before he was famous. So Richard Attenborough was the director of this film. And I started to imagine myself being an actress, being a filmmaker. I never thought I would ever meet him again, but I did get an opportunity to meet Denzel Washington when I moved to New Zealand. But before I got to New Zealand, I got an opportunity to go back into my acting career. When I moved to Norway, I lived in a small little village called Hamar, taking part in a musical production about Nelson Mandela. And we toured the whole of Europe with this play. I was dancing and acting. I had got myself pregnant. And at the lowest point in my life, I got to do something that I loved before I was persuaded to go back to Zimbabwe and get married. When I moved to New Zealand in 2001, I got here at a time where Peter Jackson was filming the movie Lord of the Rings. And again, because I had this passion for storytelling, I would stalk the man. He was giving presentations and talks all over Wellington, talking about how they made the movie. One day I went to a presentation, not by Peter Jackson, but one of the graphic artists who took part in Lord of the Rings. The young man who designed the spider in the movie was giving a talk. And I was at the back of the room just dreaming and imagining acting in one of these movies. And I plucked up the courage to ask. I just put up my hand. I said, "Excuse me, I'm from Zimbabwe. I used to be an actress. How can I get involved in the making of one of Peter Jackson's films?" And just by pure luck, they were looking for 350 African extras to take part in the movie King Kong, which was filmed after Lord of the Rings. And so they told me to send through my CV and my photographs. I did that. 3 days later, I was cast in King Kong, and I got to act in 2 parts in the movie. But when I went for my wardrobe fitting, I was talking to the casting director and I asked why I was so special. I thought I'd really impress them. And they said, "Getrude, we actually need 350 African people. We just don't have enough people." And because I was, volunteering with the refugee service, I was able to go and act, but to recruit other people to take part in the movie. I hit the streets of Wellington with my digital camera, hitting on anyone brown. I recruited Maori people, Indian people, and they all took part in the movie, and I turned it into a business. So I have the largest casting agency in the whole of Australasia for ethnic minority people for film and advertising. I then started working on my movie script, which is called the Ubuntu Prophecies. It's going to be a 3-part movie where we start in the middle of when I left Africa 20 years ago until now. Peter Jackson's wife is my mentor and my coach. And when she read the first script, she was so impressed. She said to me, "Getrude, this is too big a film to do as one movie. Split it into 3 separate films." So we will start in the middle. The second film is my backstory. It's my childhood story, growing up in Zimbabwe. And the third is the prophecy. It's the vision that I was given of what Africa can look like 100 years from now. I'm going to share with you a small little video that I created to get the contract to work with Peter Jackson. I had got myself to film school, and I had to show that I was an agency. I wasn't an agency, but I persuaded a few friends to come and dance at this production. And I made these beautiful costumes. 6 girls were supposed to come. On the day, only 2 showed up. So I had to dance in this production. I had to be the person speaking to camera. We pulled it off, and this is what got me the contract to act with Peter Jackson. So I'll just share this quickly with you.
Hello and welcome to Sinzisani Creations. Sinzisani is a culturally unique talent agency focusing primarily on Black African faces and personalities for the film and advertising industry. Formed in Cape Town, South Africa in 1994, Simzisani is now an international operator and is based in Wellington, New Zealand. We offer a wide range of talent, including actors, models, dancers, and musicians of African origin, as well as from a diverse range of ethnicities. We can cater for all your on-screen talent needs. You can contact us through our website, www.simzisanicreations.com. We hope to be hearing from you soon.
So that was the commercial that I shared with Peter Jackson. And I remember hiring a marketing company who created this beautiful box. And they said to me, Gertrude, it's all about packaging. It cost me $500 to put that DVD in that box. And I went in and did my presentation. I remember my son was in high school at the time. And I said to him, Simba, you want to be an actor, you have to come with me. You're not going to school today. And when I present to Peter Jackson's team, you set up my laptop, you set up the PowerPoint, pretend that you're my assistant and just make notes. So we literally went into the Salvation Army with my son and bought him a suit and a pair of shoes. He didn't go to school that day. And fortunately, my son is now an actor. But I'm sharing this story because it's about dreaming big. You know, if you have a vision of something that you want, don't be afraid to try. I had no idea I was going to meet all of these famous people to help me along my journey. All I knew is that I'm going to be a filmmaker. I still haven't finished writing the scripts. I actually feel like I am in the way right now, but you have to dream, and you have to dream big. Another miraculous thing that happened is that when my son was in high school, he was invited to again take part in another movie. So we both did Avatar, we did King Kong, and one day my 16-year-old boy was cast to act in a movie that Denzel Washington was filming right here in Wellington. And he picked my son to be the main actor in this film. And I thought, this is not happening. I get to meet him again in New Zealand. This is now 26 years later. So I told the casting director to tell Denzel that I took part in Cry Freedom. I wanted to meet him. Guess who came out to meet me? I get to hang out with Denzel Washington for 3 weeks while he's filming. People thought I knew the guy. I was sitting right next to him, watching him direct this feature. And I've come to realize that when you are on track, when you are in alignment with your vision, the how shows up. You don't have to figure out the how. You start attracting the right opportunities. You start attracting the right people who are going to take you to your next goal. And the most wonderful thing about life is that you get to be the director. You get to star in your own epic. So don't let anything hold you back, ladies. I have had an absolutely magical, magical life. And I'm sharing the Best You Expo with a lot of women who have trusted me with their stories, who are part of the vision for the Her Story Circle. We are a social impact movement, and we're looking for female speakers to step up and share their stories so we can change the world one woman at a time, one story at a time. So if you want to be part of our movement, the website is theherstorycircle.com. Please join us. Submit your audition video. You'll go through a selection committee and you will get to speak in our first online summit. And fortunately in New Zealand, we can now have conferences, we can have events. So we will be having 5 events this year. So if you're based in New Zealand, go onto our website, theherstorycircle.com. Upload your information, submit your audition video, and be one of those people who dreams and who dreams big, and use your life experience to change the world. Thank you.